Revival. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Revival. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
The Revival Initiative. What's an initiative?
What is up, friends? It's episode 17 of the Revival Initiative. I'm your host, Mike Ryan, and today we have the drum panel for you. We have 4 very awesome drummers who are going to share their knowledge and experience and expertise with you all. So, let's dig right into this. Get her going. First up is Andrew Miller. He's fairly new to the music scene here in Nova Scotia, but incredibly versatile in all genres. He's the founder of the Drum School here in Halifax, and today his lesson is on motion around the drum kit. Next up, we have the incredibly talented Cathy Porter. She's a very, very talented musician, can play pretty much everything. Washboard, accordion, flute, vocals, and her signature hand percussion as well. Today, she's going to give us an introduction to the cabasa. Sweet. Next up, we have Geoff Arsenault. He's an awesomely talented dude. He's a drummer, singer, songwriter, performer, and illustrator. Covers all the bases. He can do it all, this guy. He's got a funky, soulful sensibility, and he's a veteran to the scene here in Halifax. His lesson today is going to be on the blues feel. And last, but certainly not least, we have Dave Burton. He's toured all around the world playing drums for multiple different artists. He's a legend on the scene here, and he's going to give us a lesson on brush technique. So, get your hands warmed up. We're going to do this. Let's get her going. Woo!
The Revival Initiative.
Welcome everyone. Just want to say thank you to NSCC for the music, business, and art students for having me do this, part of the Revival series, which I think is a really cool idea, and I feel very honored that I've been asked to do this. So the concept that I'm going to talk about today in this video is the concept of motion on the drum set. And this is something that I work on a lot, and I'm kind of always thinking about when I'm developing an exercise to practice. Okay. So what we're going to use here to demonstrate throughout this whole video is a paradiddle. And a paradiddle for us as drummers is an integral piece of language. Okay. And the paradiddle, the sticking pattern, the way that the hands move, is right, left, right, followed by left, right, left. The sticking alternates back and forth between the hands. Single strokes, right, left, followed by doubles, right, and then the same thing on the left hand. Left, right, single, and then double, left. Okay? So what I'm going to do here, I'll just play on the snare drum first so you can hear it. And then I'm going to separate the hands. I'm going to put my right hand on the ride cymbal, left hand on the snare drum. And what I want you to do is just take a listen to the melody that's created with each hand. Try to see if you can focus in on the right hand and then focus in on the left hand. So that melody that's created between the right and left hand is something that we can work on developing through just having the hands move in different shapes and different ways around the kit. So one thing I like to think about a lot on the drum sets as far as shapes are concerned are triangles, okay? And in this particular case, this drum set is almost set up in triangles. I'm talking about the drums themselves. I've got my snare drum, my rack tom, and then my floor tom, right? And together this shape that's created is a triangle. So instead of playing this version of the triangle, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to play sort of a reverse triangle. I'm going to call my ride cymbal the first starting point, and then I'm going to move to my floor tom, followed by my rack tom, okay? So it creates this different kind of triangle, and the motion that I'm going to focus on here is actually moving upward on the drums. It's very common for us as drummers to move downwards, so in this direction versus right? And it's even less common for us to play this kind of thing, okay? So what I'll do here is I'm just going to have my right hand play my right and left hand play the paradiddle, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gradually let my right hand start to introduce this shape here, okay? And just take a listen again. I'm just going to keep playing a paradiddle on repeat. See how the melody sounds as I just move my right hand around. Left hand's going to stay put for now. It's on the snare. One motion there. Let's see how the reverse sounds. So that would be okay. What if we did 4 times through this one, right hand moving upwards on the toms, and then have the reverse happen 4 times after that. So we'll go starts to sound pretty melodic already, right? Starts to groove, right? These could become different ways to groove on the kit. And that's just from having our right hand move in a certain shape. There's no end to the possibilities of shapes, right? The shapes could be of practicing those motions, right? Some are going to feel more natural than others, and oftentimes the ones I like to choose are the ones that feel least natural. I find those really open up my pathways on the kit, okay? So let's add the left hand in now, just to have the left hand maybe go between the snare drum and the hi-hat here. This was one of the motions that I was playing in that solo off the beginning. This kind of thing, okay? So as I let my right hand move, I'll just sort of gradually let my left hand move now. I got a little hung up on the other. I played that left. But that could be a possibility right there. Sometimes when you make a mistake, that often ends up being a good thing to practice, right? So lot of stuff happening there. And that's just from having my hands move in different directions, right? You could think about, if we want to get away from the triangles for a sec, you could think about circles, right? Have one hand move counterclockwise, and then have the, sorry, I'll do it here. Have one hand move counterclockwise, right? And then have one hand move clockwise. Be surprised what happens just from doing that, having these two motions happening, right? Get some pretty cool, interesting ideas just from that. So what I'll do now, I'm going to just wrap up here. I just wanted to say thank you to NSCC again for having me do this. I think this is a really great opportunity for the students and anyone else that might see this video to just get a bit of knowledge from these great musicians in our community. And I feel really fortunate to be here in the HRM and be able to work with so many fantastic world-class musicians just right outside the doors here, right? So after this quarantine is over, I look forward to seeing everyone, okay? Thank you, students and the faculty at NSCC, and I'll see you again soon.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And action.
hope you're enjoying this, kids. 'Cause I sure am. Me too. We did it, folks. We did it. Yes, we did. Good job, girls.
The Revival Initiative.
Yeah, that was a Chicago Shuffle. I'm Geoff Arsenault, fellow drummer, and I like to play shuffles. I'm just going to do a bunch of variations of the shuffle. I'm going to start with both hands doing the same thing, swinging the eighths, right hand, left hand, like this. 1, 2. Yeah. Now you can, your ride can do other things while doing the swinging the eighths on the snare. I'll show you. You can do just quarter notes like this. 1, 2. Notice I've been playing the 4 and floor on the kick. Sometimes you might want to do 1 and 3, if depending on the tune, what the bass player is doing, and maybe it's a 2 feel or something like this. 1, 2. Probably notice that I'm doing a few little accents here and there. Another kind of cool thing you can do, which I heard this I can't remember who he was. I heard him in Albert Hall in Toronto, playing with Otis Rush, I think. Swinging, playing all the eights except leaving out the and of 4. And it kind of gives us a little air, fresh air, and it swings hard that way, like this. 1, 2. can also break it up on the left hand, or I'll leave out basically the 1 and the 3 and play everything else swinging it. And I'll do whatever on my ride. I can just play quarters like this. 1, 2, 3. And you can, whatever you're doing the ride, you can accent the snare. Maybe what I'll do is I'll do that shuffle and accent the and of 2s, then the and of 4s, and then and of 1s and the and of 3s. And it goes something like this. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, like that. Another cool shuffle is, I call it the T-Bone Shuffle, after T-Bone Walker, a great guitar player. And it's basically playing the ands on the snare. And it's cool in really fast tempos, but it's cool in slow tempos too. And it goes something like this. 1, 2, 3. Cool, huh? You can also do it while playing all the 8s, but just accenting the ands. Like this. 1, 2, 3. Cool, yeah. Now I kind of play a shuffle sometimes when I play a slow blues. And it goes something like this. It's pretty cool. 1, 2, 3. it kind of gives weight to a slow blues tune. You can also kind of do a rock and roll straight 8 shuffle, which I do at times. Something like this. This thing is on here because it just helps with the harshness from the little phone mic. Yeah, variety of, man, it's keeping that left hand doing things. And one thing I can't stress enough is in order to shuffle, you gotta swing. And in order to swing, you gotta be relaxed. You can't be stiff, man. You gotta just be relaxed and kind of flow and be rubber and swing.
The Revival Initiative.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Revival Initiative web series. My name's David Burton. Thank you very much for having me on this. Today we're going to do some brush technique that I'm going to talk about. And there's going to be 6 different elements to it. We will get to every one of the elements shortly. So I want to begin by developing a sound on the snare drum with my left hand with the brush. In my case, I play conventional grip, especially when I play jazz. But if you play match grip, it's the same content. So let's just develop that sound. It's a constant counterclockwise motion on the drum head. In the industry, they've known that as stirring the soup, you could say. Trying to get it as smooth as you can. The brush never leaves the head. So that's the idea. So working on a pattern, we always need to establish beats per minute. So let's pick a tempo. And what I want to do is I want to mark beats 2 and 4 with my left hand at around midnight on the drum, 12 o'clock. Okay? So let's establish a tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a little bit of weight on the heel of the brush with a downward motion with my left hand. 2. With match, it would be. Okay, now the next element, pretending I have a drum kit, we're going to mark beat 1 of this pattern with my bass drum, and your hi-hat's going to be on 2 and 4, married up with the weight of your left hand. So that they're in perfect unison. That side of your body, left side of your body, is accenting 2 and 4. So let's get the tempo again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bass drum. Bass drum. Bass drum. Bass drum. Now add the hi-hat. Bass drum. Hi-hat. Hi-hat. Bass drum. Hi-hat. Hi-hat. Bass drum. Hi-hat. Hi-hat. drum, So that's the idea. So now, since our right hand hasn't done anything yet, let's develop quarter notes with our right hand, just by gently sweeping across the head. Like that, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay, let's look at mixing up a pattern. So the famous old ride pattern, ding, 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 that you would normally play on a ride. You can move that to your snare drum. So let's do 2 bars of quarter notes, 2 bars of the swing pattern. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Swing. Let's try a little quicker tempo to see what that sounds like. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we have it. Now let's move on to the 6th element, which is placing accents in different places. Okay, so let's say the and of 2, for example, we can start with. By doing that, you can add just a little weight once again, kind of on the heel of the brush down, a little harder, right, to get that kind of sound so it pops out. It could be like an anticipation that you're grabbing with a brass section, or whatever, or even the bass, for example. So let's try it on the and of 2. Okay, I'll give you 2 bars. So 1, 2, 3, That's the idea. Another option you could do is experiment with your feet too, primarily your bass drum. You could move that accent to your bass drum, trade back and forth between your hand, your foot, your hand and foot, right? And not just doing 1, you could even try 2, for example. Right now I'll try the and of 1 and the and of 2. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. A couple bars. Here we go. Boom, boom. Maybe that's your bass drum. Boom, boom. There you have it. So let's recap here with our 6 elements. Number one, we create that sound counterclockwise with our brush, left hand, right? Number two, we accent at 12 o'clock with that left hand with a little more velocity on the drum, okay? Number three, for independence, we add our bass drum, marking beat 1, and our hi-hat married up with our left hand on 2 and 4 with those accents, okay? The next element, we introduced our right hand playing quarter notes, joining in with everything else that we have going on with our feet. The fifth element was the option of doing a swing pattern and our quarter notes, pivoting back and forth, quarter notes, swing pattern, quarter notes, swing pattern. And then our last element was placing accents within the bar, mainly with your left hand, and then trying it between your left hand and your foot on the bass drum. Okay, anyways, thank you very much for spending time to watch this today, and I want to thank the NSCC business students, music business students, and the NSCC music department for presenting this series. Please be safe, be kind to one another. Take care.
The Revival Initiative.
Okay, buds, this is Revival Revelation, the part of the episode where we dig deep with each special guest to find out a little bit more about them. Yep, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Revival Revelations.
Why is making music important to you?
Music's important to me because it just brings me joy, basically. That's the bottom line. It always has. In particular, playing with people. So yeah, joy, man.
What is one thing you know now but wish you knew when you first started your career in music?
The biggest thing for me is that if I could talk to my younger self, I would say, relax. Just relax. Everybody is on some kind of learning stage, no matter how far ahead of you they might be or behind you they might be. We're all just in a state of learning. And if you relax with it, there's a lot more to be gained. That's probably the biggest thing. I also am a big fan of finding your niche and honing it. Find out what you're really good at and just get even better at it.
Name a local artist who's inspired you and why.
For me, that would have to be Scott McMillan, which many of you probably know. I went to Humber College with Scott in Toronto, and speaking of versatility, there's a man that could play guitar. He could play every style on guitar. And then he also became an incredible orchestrator. And working as a host conductor for the Nova Scotia Symphony, I did many shows with Scott. And I've always looked up to his talents. He's a champion. Scott McMillan, yes.
In what ways do you think we could strengthen our local music scene in Halifax?
It's a tough one. I think realistically every scene in the world is hurting in some way, shape, or form, but they're also blossoming. And I think, having the internet has really allowed us to share our music more easily, which is super important. Sharing ideas and concepts with the world that we've poured our heart and soul into is really important. I think that being present at people's gigs, first of all, would be a really easy way for us to help out the music scene, and if that means that we instead of whatever buying lunch or whatever, buying a beer at the gig, maybe you pay a cover charge, or you buy someone's record. That's a real easy way right there to start to make a small, but it ends up being, in the long run, it ends up being a big change in the music scene. So being at gigs, that's a huge one. When I was studying, I went out, probably on average, I would say 4 or 5 nights a week. And, I didn't buy that lunch or have that beer. I just used the money that I had, which wasn't a lot, to pay the cover charge and go see as many shows as possible. And that again, coming back to this process idea from the previous question, That's a really important part of the process, because when you see live music, it's different than listening to it on a recording. It's gonna last with you in a different way, because you've got the visual and you're hearing it at the same time, right? So those are some things that I think are really important for maintaining a healthy music scene.
Okay, name one local person, one local menu item, and one local album you'd like to bring with you on our next quarantine, if it ever happens. Hopefully not.
I love it that it's quarantine question and not desert island question anymore. So current. I've done a lot of thinking about this. Again, it's very hard to choose just one. Local album, the first thing that jumped to me, pun not intended, is an album I first was introduced to by Benn Ross, who I'll mention in a minute, who played on this album, Emily Shute. A charming little album, breakup album, the most optimistic breakup album I've ever heard, I think, and it's called Jump With Me. It's from 2015, and for some reason that jumped into my head, I think because of its light-hearted, positive, it's just very airy, and for a breakup album, it's got a nice variety. It's yeah, I just like it. Local person, Benn Ross, hands down. Ben has inspired me both professionally and personally. He's an awesome friend and an awesome musician. He has introduced me to so many musicians under the radar, and yeah, too numerous to mention. Most of whom he's played with. He would be awesome on a quarantine. If you had to spend some time with somebody for a long time, not just family and your partner, whatever, Benn Ross is the guy. Not only because he's great company, but he's also a fantastic musician, and if you're in the mood, if I was in the mood, we could create a lot of music together, and we have done so. In fact, if I brought Emily Shute and I had to be quarantined with Benn Ross, hopefully he would bring his Leonard Cohen project, and that way I wouldn't have to pick between the two. Then that way we could enjoy them together. So, local menu item. Heartwood peanut bowl. It's everything you need in one bowl. Veggies, rice, tofu, seeds, nuts, and choice of toppings. And if I could have just one menu item, I would have the Heartwood bowl, veggie bowl, and I would alternate between the peanut sauce one day and the coconut curry sauce the next. I would never get tired of it.
Wow, there sure are a lot of things you can do with a drum kit. That sure was something special. I'm glad to get to be a part of this. I hope everybody's enjoying the Revival Initiative. I know all of us involved in the project are having a blast, and we're really glad that you're able to tune into this and hopefully learn a few things along the way. Tomorrow's going to be our very last episode, and it's going to be a finale of sorts. We got very special guests who were performers throughout the series so far, so it's a compilation of sorts. We'll keep you posted on that. But thanks so much for viewing this episode. Tune in tomorrow, and feel free to go back and check out some other episodes, because there's lots to learn and lots to take in. So, signing out for today, Mike Ryan. Hope you're well. Keep the dream alive. And go top corner every chance you can.
Revival. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Revival.
What's an initiative?